Hey everybody, this is Patty. Welcome to the Witching Hour. The veil is thin and we have some beautiful magic for you today. She is an occultist. She is a content creator. You may know her, and it is the wonderful Pythian Princess. Welcome so much for coming back on the show.
Hi, Patty. It's so good to be here.
I know, it is so good to have you back. I'm going to bat my eyelashes because it's the funniest thing to start out. I have these lovely eyelashes due to you and your lovely eyelashes. You are my eyelash goddess, I must say.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I have to give all the credit to the spicy dancers in Vegas for teaching me how to do them.
Okay, so spicy dancers down to you, down to me, and I'm going to give them to my doll Belle over there. We'll get it all figured out. But anyway, thank you for coming back on. People probably know you very much from social media. You have become quite a social media thing as the Pythian Priestess. Now, for those who don't know, what is the Pythian Priestess?
Well, she was a Greek oracle. You probably know her better as the oracle at Delphi. And she was my inspiration as a young woman. I wanted to be a priest when I was a child, and the Catholic Church said, no, you can't do that because you're a girl. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess that's just not a thing. And then many moons later, I learned about Pythia. And she was, like I said, my inspiration. And being able to communicate with the gods has always been something I wanted to do. And now I do it daily.
That is beautiful. So I got to actually, once I was at like a witch's ball in the middle of Texas somewhere, and it was a whole Oracle of Delphi Pythia day. It was beautiful. You should have been, maybe you were in spirit. So now you mentioned again that you wanted to be a priest. So you do have a traditional background, right? How did you end up in this beautiful occulty world?
Oh, yes. I had been studying privately for about a decade. I know I don't look like I'm 33, but I am. So for a little more than half my life, it was something I did privately because it wasn't as acceptable where I lived in Florida. But when I moved to Los Angeles, I discovered the local occult store, the Crooked Path, and I started taking ceremonial magic classes because it always intrigued me, but it was so complicated. I was like, I need someone to walk me through this. And Salvatore was able to direct me to a local Hermetic Order where I was initiated and given the title of priestess on my initiation day. And it was just very validating, like being like, I knew I was this. And now like someone else who doesn't know me has given me this validation. And that was the beginning of the journey of Pythian Priestess. That's not my magical name. Just I can't share that with anyone, but that's how I gained the confidence to be more public about it.
That is beautiful. And again, Sal is a dear friend of both of ours. I've known him for a million years. I met him on a goofy reality TV show years and years ago. And we actually had the same original teacher, George Derby, in our occult teaching. The same teacher. Didn't know it until after we met. So that's pretty magical. It's a great shop, great magical shop here in the Los Angeles area in Burbank.
Yes, I work there on Thursdays where I read tarot for anyone and everyone who wants a reading.
You guys check it out. Burbank, everyone can get to Burbank. So again, you studied this. You hold a BA in philosophy and theology. You even mentioned something with your thing. So is this kind of your world where you were born curious?
You know, Patty, I was babysat by Benedictine nuns as a child. And I will never forget the day where they asked me if I wanted to get married to Jesus. I was 4. And that was kind of the start of it all. Just being like, what does that mean? What do you mean I can't be a priest? I just want to talk to God because I never felt like the Christian God responded to me. And that was just unsatisfying. So my big focus, especially when I was older, it's probably starting around 13, I was looking for truth, which is when I started collecting this beautiful library, looking for what is truth and what is the meaning of our universe.
Now, I know you are, like you said, an initiated Hermetic Priestess. You are a teacher, you are an educator, you're an advisor, you work with people. And you also, because we just worked together, are in the paranormal world, just like I am. Now, how did that come about? Because that is very different than just our spiritual and magical world.
So in 2023, I received an email from my manager who was like, would you like to read tarot for these guys named Sam and Colby? I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. I'll go read for them. That's cool. It was the worst reading I've ever given. Like, it was in my top 3. It was so bad. The first thing was just pain. It was like the Tower, death, 9 of Swords. And like, you're on camera. And I'm like, how do I spin this to be positive? There's no way to spin it to be positive. They actually cut the segment to like 3 minutes. And they were very skeptical of it. Like, oh, is she just trying to like be a terror reader? And no, it wasn't. And then I found out a couple of months later that poor Colby had been diagnosed with testicular cancer. And they became believers in my work. And that is what started all of this. And, you know, I did everything that I could to like cleanse them off. But sometimes, you know, medical procedures do need to take precedence.
So again, and I do know how much Sam and Colby love and respect you and what you have taught them because we just worked with them. So we can't talk about it yet. It's going to air. We think it's going to air in December, but it was our first time getting to work in that paranormal field together. And again, you were amazing. They followed your ritual. They followed your magical. And more than that, we cannot say.
Yeah, that's all we can say. You know, I want to go back just a little bit. So I always kind of forget about this because there was a little bit of trauma in my previous experience with paranormal. When I was in college, I worked at the Ghost and Greystones tour company in St. Augustine, Florida, as a tour guide and very early paranormal investigator. We just had like EVPs and our phones for cameras. And those ghosts and I, like, we did not get along. It's a jail, right, Patti? Like, ghosts are just humans in their ethereal body. And they would play tricks on me. The scariest thing that happened was I was outside near the gallows, which they built a replica on the exact spot of the real gallows, which is like, whoa. And out of nowhere, the door like fell open and like slammed itself. And I screamed so loud and I ran away. And I started getting scratches every single night on my butt. And I was like, oh, you guys are creepy men. And eventually I had to quit. It just got too bad. Like, it started getting up in like the chest area. And I was a baby. I didn't know, like, I did like silly little things. Like, I carried like pennies to try to protect myself. And I stuffed my pockets with peppermint. My reemergence into the paranormal scene has been really lovely. And getting to work with you was really fun.
Yeah, it was really, really fun. You guys are going to have to check it out. I can't wait to see it myself. Because do you notice, again, when you go into like trance work and ritual work, we're both mediums, that you're not going to remember a whole bunch of things.
No, I don't remember a lot of things. I don't remember where we were. Like, I kind of know. And I'm thinking, right? Like, there's 2 parts of my brain because when I'm doing the work, I invoke the goddess Isis or Aset. So, like, I am still me, but there's her voice and her attitude. And sometimes she's a little sassy to the guys. Like, she like tells them off sometimes. And they're actually very comfortable with that. They understand. And I'm very grateful for that.
That is good. Yeah, no, you could tell that. And again, they need stuff like that. So many of these people, I mean, they've been doing it long enough now. I work with a lot of other people like Elton. They go into this paranormal world, but not having much of a spiritual or magical or occult background. And they can and do get into trouble sometimes.
Oh, yeah. There's attachments galore.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that stuff is very real and very powerful.
Very real and very, very powerful. So it's good that they bring people like you or me along to like help along the way. Because I remember even again, once everybody sees it, you did some nice clearing on all of us right after we left the place that neither of us know where we were.
No, and I think that's okay. I don't think I need to go back. I mean, we were all separated, right? So it was myself, you, and then Mystic Dylan was there. They took us to all different parts of the house. We had no idea where we were. There was no communication between any of the guests. So it's very authentic that way. But like, I don't know what the rest of that place looked like.
I know. Sadly, I must say, you got the not pretty part.
No.
I think I got the pretty part. I think Dylan might have got a lot of the pretty part, but you got the spooky part. I mean, it was all spooky, but
Yeah. I mean, you know what? Like, they've thrown me into some really intense places. So I just kind of expect it now.
Exactly. That's spooky. Go in there. Go in there.
And you do that too. Like, I will never forget. I watched the episode with you and Zach at the Cecil Hotel where
Yeah.
you almost crawled out of a window.
I did. I really did. And I'm like in my little trance state going, why is he yelling at me? I just have to get out of here. As like, oh, and it was exact window somebody had jumped out of. So yeah, no, that's what they were there for, to throw into weird circumstances and
Yeah,
not know where we are.
But I think for your audience, like, it's really helpful to understand, like, there's different levels of working, right? Like, going into trance is the lunar state. Like, that's where the intuition and the unconscious are more in control. Whereas when I do occult work, it's very solar. Like, I am controlling spirits. When we use the spirit board, I am quite literally holding a dagger or a wand at the spirit saying, you will listen to me. And if you don't, I'll throw you into the pits of hell. Like, they're very different.
Have you ever had to throw anybody into the pits of hell?
I sure did. Or you can actually watch it on Sam and Colby's Hell Week of 2024, episode 3. There was a corrupted astral shell that was some person who had decayed, basically, and turned evil, if you want to use that term. He almost possessed Colby. Like, you can see it on screen. And Colby tells me he doesn't remember it. Like, he remembers me being very upset. And I'm like trying to pull it off him because he said his face felt like someone was pulling his face back. So I take my selenite wand and I'm like pulling it off of him. I'm calling in all the archangels. And honestly, the best thing that we ended up doing, that besides the angel work, was just getting him back into his body, because the spirit was trying to move into the space. And I know there's a lot of speculation online, like, was that real? Oh, it was very much real. And it was very, very scary.
Wow. Have you ever got anything that you thought, oh my gosh, this is over my head?
Mm-hmm. I can't talk. Well, actually, because this is airing after, I can talk a little bit about it. So we went to what they call the new Conjuring House. This was the Smurl house where the last Ed and Lorraine Warren investigation took place.
Wow.
And we discovered that the demon is no longer there. It left. But because the story's been so popularized and people are constantly talking about it, an egregore has formed there. And it lives in the walls. And it's very, very powerful. Like, when I tried to command it and get it to like move away from certain things, it wouldn't listen to me. I would need probably like multiple magicians to remove something like that. And I told them, I'm like, yeah, we can talk to it, guys, but there's not a whole lot I can do by myself.
Right. Yeah. And for anybody who doesn't know what an egregore is, can you explain the spirit created, or how do you want to split? Yeah.
Of course. So I want you to imagine in the astral plane, when you talk about something enough. A great example of this is the creepypasta stories. So many people have learned about it, have put their energy into those characters, that it becomes like a puppet in the astral plane. And when they become strong enough, they become sentient and they can start moving around and doing things here on Earth. And they're not harmless. Like, that was like my mistake, that I thought that these things were like, oh, they're just like puppets. They're just human thoughts. No, they're very, very dangerous and they're very, very real.
Right. And I think that is the thing that you get into, especially these places that are popular with TV and YouTube. and you know what's what. I think that's true with the Cecil Hotel. It's an egregore that is so encompassing this entire 14-floor building that it would take every magician, I don't care, rabbi, priest, and holy man, like 900 of us to overpower what that is.
Yeah. And that just shows the power of your thoughts. Your thoughts are so powerful.
Yeah. And we create spirits all the time, whether it's spirit of love, spirit of struggle, spirit of success, spirit of, again, those are baby versions of spirit. And then you take it into this big thing that we feed, that's
Yeah. Another one is like addiction, the spirit of addiction or the spirit of greed. Those absolutely exist and they're ugly.
You have mocktails. I read that. I didn't know that you had mocktails that are almost a spell or a ritual within themselves. What is that?
So I actually stopped drinking alcohol in 2020. It was part of me trying to elevate my energy and my magic. So I stopped drinking alcohol and I don't eat a lot of meat. So the mocktails were created because I like sugary things. And yeah, so I really love cucumber. And when I was doing my research and creating these mocktails, I wanted to align them with planetary energies because every planet has an energy. So when I drink something that's warm and cinnamony, that is going to give me the power of the sun. Or cucumber, which is one of my favorites, is the power of the moon. And I drink that after and sometimes before a ritual where it's cucumber and mint, and it's very soothing. Like those feelings we get in our body, those are real energies that are attributed to different planets. And I have my little rose gold mocktail kit. I'm like, I will have to make you one sometime.
I would love that. I would absolutely love one of your beautiful ritual, magical, lunar, planetary mocktails. And I do remember because when we were, again, those couple days we spent together, twice. So only good spirits. That's all that's allowed in here. I remember you had to not eat anywhere near meat before we did the investigation. So that is who you are. As I do notice, I do try to, I'm not that good at it yet, but I do know that that really can weigh you down, especially red meats and things.
Yeah, it's been a trial and error. Like diet is really important because you become what you eat. And especially when I'm working with Sam and Colby, like I want to be on my A game. So I've tried different things over the years to figure out what exactly works the best. And not eating meat for 24 hours is a really good start.
That is good. So she's not saying you have to give it up if you're not ready to give it up. But again, for your magical work, for your intuition. Now, did you always know you're super gifted? You're super intuitive. Was that always part of who you are, or did that develop with your magical work?
You know, that's a great question. Let me think about that for a second. I knew it intuitively, but I didn't have the language or the community to really open up to it and understand what it was. The first time was when I was 14 years old and I went to a Renaissance fair and I had my cards read. And I saw those cards and I was like, these are the most sacred, most important things I've ever seen in my entire life. And that's like that immediate intuitive draw. I can also say that when I had my first heartbreak, I could feel the cord starting to dissipate between me and that person. And I was like, oh, I'm just like making this up. But as I grew in my magical practice, I learned that cords between people are very much a real thing. And those do need to be removed or severed sometimes in order to make progress in your life. So you're not being fed that energy over and over again.
What is something now, if somebody is new, some of the people got a bunch of old witches and occultists, and some are kind of new, just discovering, and they check out the show. What is something, do you have like something that for a nice starting point, whether it's like a simple ritual or an awareness, or what's something that I can step into this mindset or this understanding?
Meditation. And I know that sounds so boring, but I actually created a free resource for everybody. It's called Pause with Pythian. You can find it on YouTube, Spotify, all the local haunts for podcasts. And You don't even have to do the full 20-minute meditations. Like I make those, but really, even just 1 minute a day, you are getting your body in a place where you can do that magical work. So the basic one I would teach is called the square breath, which comes from Ayurvedic yoga. And it's very simple. You just inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, and hold for 4. And doing that 16 times resets your central nervous system. It's going to clear your mind and give you better access to your intuition. And in a chaotic world that we all live in, we all need that.
We're not going to get into politics or in how crazy it is and all that. But do you notice that there's less solid ground now? We're way more off kilter. The veil is messed up completely. Have you noticed that in just the day-to-day, our mundane life, as well as the magical life?
It's really this. It's your cell phone. That's what really messes people up, because what happens is it's in your brain. Your brain is so important. It is the hardware. Like imagine it like your computer. And we need to take care of the internal workings of our mind, because when we scroll on TikTok, when we are waiting for the ding ding of those notifications, you are starting to exasperate your dopamine and you become addicted to needing those notifications. And our self-validation has now been externalized to the screen. And that is very, very dangerous, especially for people for all ages, but especially for occultists, because a lot of what we do is so ethereal. It's hard to have like a scientific like method to understand like how successful I am. And that's where a lot of people are getting stuck with, well, my altar's not as pretty as that one, or I don't have enough money to make that as nice, that nice tool. You don't need it. This is the only tool you need, and you gotta take care of it. So I have turned off all unnecessary notifications on my phone. I get emails, I get text messages, and I get my little to-do list that pops up. Everything else is extra and unnecessary.
It's you go a place, and again, magical place, not magical place. You're sitting in even a waiting room. People used to talk. Nobody talks. Everybody is just buried in their own phone. The communication is a whole different world, and they don't look any happier. That's all I can say. Nobody looks more fulfilled, more happy, more enlightened, more educated, more anything. So yeah, I don't have notices come on things either, and I do try to watch, because I'm too much of it's like I can't waste another half hour here.
Magic is all about focusing. So think of it like a laser beam. You need your laser beam to be perfectly straight. And if this is ding, 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 and your computer's going off, there's Spotify playing, your energy is being pulled in all these directions, your magic is going to be mid at best. Focus is important. And I know there's a lot of young people out there and adults who have ADHD. So meditation is the only way that I know how to remedy that a little bit, or at least gain some of your focus back.
That is good. And I agree wholeheartedly. Now, you are an influencer. You are a content creator. Now, but you are one that is educated and smart and experienced and know what you're doing. Not everybody on TikTok or Witch Talk or all that is that. Now, if somebody's new and they're going, how does somebody going to discern the difference in them?
Books. We have amazing amount of resources. I like using something called the Internet Archive, where like, don't just take my word for it, go look it up. If I say cucumbers are associated with the planet of the moon, you can go get Scott Cunningham's book, Encyclopedia of Herbs, on the Internet Archive and look it up yourself. Always fact check what anybody tells you, whether it's me, whether it's Patti, whether it's Joe Schmo from TikTok. Like, that is how you gain confidence, is by doing research. We are so blessed to live in an age where you can find almost anything you need for free online.
Yeah, you can. And again, and you could get all Scott Cunningham books, his early books from the 80s, right there, right there. You could have it in 30 seconds. He was my gateway drug. I'm actually old enough to have actually got to meet him and work with him once, like just before he passed away. And he was my entrance into the craft, everything about him. So he's still good, beautiful Scott. He kept writing books for years after he passed away, I must say.
He did, and I use a lot of them. Actually, he was the inspiration. Wicca in the Kitchen was my inspiration for making the mocktails.
Oh, really? He's got many, many books. And again, a super go-to and easy to read go-to. Because I can get, I'm a reader too. I have a great library too. But I know a lot of people, including myself, can get overwhelmed by the big, thick, deep books. But you could start, there's not big, deep, thick books that you can get a good start. And he's definitely one of the
Yeah, there's
authors.
also audiobooks, right? Audiobooks are a huge thing now.
Yeah, yeah. So there's always a way. If you want to look that up, Rob, which way to put your bed, all these little things. And again, I have researched most of it. He knew what he was talking about all along the way. So I love it that you even mentioned him. So he
Yeah,
was good.
such an inspiration. Like my gateway drug was actually auras because I can see auras, especially there's some videos on the Explorer Club with Sam and Colby when I'm doing it. And you've seen some of these, Patti, where you make these funny eyes, like you're like, oh,
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
but you can actually read other people's energy. And that was my gateway drug. Be like, why does that person have like orange Cheetos above their head? Like, what does that mean?
Right. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. So that's why I think that you must have, because I see how gifted you are, how sensorial, how attuned you are. They must have, I'm sure the magic will increase it, the working will increase it, but you must have always had it. Or you wouldn't even probably been interested in philosophy and theology, really.
Yeah, that whole truth. I think especially like the feeling of rejection at such a young age, being like, why didn't God want me? Like, why am I not good enough for him? Like that really set me on the path to understand, well, that can't be the whole truth. There's got to be more there.
A 4-year-old, yeah. All I thought about was Barbie at that age, really. That's it.
I mean, that's
The
valid.
goddess Barbie. It's the goddess Barbie. Okay, get back to you. Now, versus you, again, you're well known, you're a thing, you're the Pythian Priestess, but versus being the queen of the witches, you actually speak of being more like a handmaiden and not wielding, it's not about your own power, it's channeling the goddess. What does that mean for somebody?
Yes, being a priestess, that is a very big topic that I've actually been working several months on creating a YouTube video about. So I'll give you the short.
Yay, good. We'll get a sneak peek.
Yes. So becoming a priestess, I see a lot of people use it as like an ego badge, being like, I am so important. When actually it should be the exact opposite. You are a handmaiden for her. You are here to do what she needs. And you know what? Sometimes I get pulled into things and I'm like, why am I here? Like, what? And she's like, you need to do this for me. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll do that. Now, I'm not a priestess of Hecate or Hecate, as Americans call her, but she and Isis share very similar energies. And there are times where she brings people to me at the crooked path. In particular, there was a man named Colin who runs the Paranormal Files on YouTube. And this gentleman had made 5 different blood oaths to random things, just truly random entities that he found in haunted houses. And Hecate or Hecate was like, yeah, you need to fix that. Can you break this one specifically? It's causing him the most pain and it's fueling the addiction. And I was like, I don't have any tools. And she's like, you don't need them. Just do it. I was like, okay. Yeah, okay, I'll do it. And it's very humbling because that energy is so intense. And a lot of the priestess work that I do privately is behind secrecy. I took an oath of secrecy. So the priestesshood that I display publicly specifically comes from another priestess of Isis named Isadora Forrest. And she wrote a book called Isis Magick. And in it, she wanted to dedicate herself to Isis. And Isis told her, you're not ready. You're not ready to give up all of that ego, all of that like pride in order to serve me adequately. For me, that's all I ever wanted. I just wanted to touch the gods. I wanted to be able to understand. And I think deep, deep down, I'm so grateful every day to know that I get to live this life and I get to fulfill my greater purpose because I didn't think I'd ever be able to.
See? See? Isn't that beautiful? Now, if somebody's going, well, wow, this sounds really good, but they're not familiar with goddesses or goddess, how do you pick a goddess? Does the goddess pick you? Again, we know the book, got the books behind us to look, but
Yeah.
how is that? Like Hecate, Isis, Aphrodite, this, the witch's god, who's
Yeah. So I think the first thing you have to recognize is what is the energy that you either want to be a part of or you want to serve. So Isis, she's the goddess of 10,000 names. She's everything.
yeah,
And she has all of these different archetypes. So I see her in every different way. Purposely for me, she called out to me. And I think that's how a lot of people experience it. So when I was in 2019, right before I was initiated, I started finding quarters everywhere. Like I would find $1.50 a day in quarters.
wow,
A lot of money. I was like, what does this mean? Now, quarters aren't specifically associated with ISIS. And so I was like, okay, who is this? Whoever this is, show me a greater sign. Like, please give me something so I can find who you are. And then I started getting feathers. I got feathers in every color, black, white, mixture of both, brown. And I started looking it up and I was like, oh, there's Athena. I'm like, no, that's not right. It's not the right energy. I definitely have that, like that studious energy, but that's not right. And then I meditated and she came in this beautiful radiant blue. And I was like, that's it. That's who you are. So not everybody gets to have that experience, and that's totally okay. But you really need to sit with yourself and say, what energy do I need in my life? And that could be mother energy, that could be feminine rage energy, that could be the warrior energy. And once you find that, you need to go petition a goddess. You don't just be like, that one and that's it. No. These are very sacred beings who can't say yes or no. So my suggestion would be you create a petition. You go get a piece of paper. You write out, we're going to do Sekhmet, for example. Sekhmet is the lion-headed goddess, goddess of war in ancient Egyptian mythology. O blessed divine goddess Sekhmet, she of blood and fire, I call upon you and ask you if you may grant my petition to be your priestess. In this case, I would light that petition on fire, put it in a fire-safe container, and then you wait and see what happens. Now, that's not instantaneous. We're used to the ding, ding, ding. So you need to sit, create space. Spirit needs space to work. So turn off the phone, turn off Spotify, sit with yourself and ask whoever it is to come in and speak with you.
beautiful. I agree wholeheartedly. That is how we do it. It's going in and they will let you know what
Yeah.
it is. So, oh, that is great. I could talk for days and days, but we can't talk for days and days. You're just going to have to come back again very soon. But for everybody who now is in love with you like I am, tell people where they can find you, where you work, where they can follow you, all of the above.
Of course. So you can find me basically on every social media, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Threads at Pythian Priestess. And I have a little bit of a special announcement to make that's not totally public knowledge. So at the beginning of 2025, I filmed an independent TV series called Exploring Haunted America. Yes, it's a mixture of ritual and paranormal coming together to explore the haunted places you know and love, like the Yorktown Memorial Hospital, the Black Swan Inn, the Galveston Hotel in Texas. So I can't share where it's coming out just yet, but if you follow me on any of my socials, you'll find out very soon.
You guys follow her, like her, and website wise.
PythianPriestess.com.
So everywhere you go, follow the Pythian Priestess. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for your wisdom. You guys, she's a good one. Follow her, like her, learn from her. Thank you. And last question before, because we've been doing this lately with some good results. Do you have any questions for me? It's called the Ask Patti section.
Okay. This is like a really genuine one that I've been thinking of.
Okay.
Do you think that haunted dolls are always human spirits? Do you think they're egregores or even thought forms?
Oh, great question. I am so glad I asked with my new book, Dollcraft Out, and my little bell sitting behind me right there. I think they are most usually human spirits. It's just a disembodied spirit that you called in that decided it needed a vessel for some reason and going in. I think they could almost be a thought form or an egregore or something not human coming in. I think it is more rare. I think everything else is more rare. Like, is that an elemental? Fairy took over a doll. I haven't experienced that yet, but I don't know why it couldn't happen. I don't know. But I think the way of being or the thought form or something really created really could be. Again, even some of the maybe the most haunted and dark ones might have been created egregore, or we've added to whatever spirit was there and made it that much bigger and badder and all encompassing. So whatever spirit is in there, this is so much bigger than that. So that was a great question. Thank you. What do you think?
You know, I've like been privately musing about this for months because I really do think there was and or is something in Annabelle that is non-human. But I think that the lore around her has grown exponentially more with the Conjuring movies, with her tour or her Eras tour, as the internet calls.
Yes.
And I have to imagine that her power is growing because we're contributing to it.
We're feeding it. I agree wholeheartedly. And we gave her credit for things I don't think she gets credit for. Like, I can't tell about the prisoners breaking or the place burning down, or certainly the death of Dan, who was a dear friend. I'm not giving her that credit, but everybody else has given her that credit. So it's just feeding.
It's a complicated question, and nothing in occultism from what I've learned is always cut and dry. It's probably a combination of a bunch of things. I can't wait to read your Dollcraft book because I see haunted dolls all over the internet. And I'm like, how many haunted dolls are there actually here? Are they humans? Like, what's going on?
No. And again, part of my book is really telling people don't get ripped off. If one eBay seller has like 907 haunted dolls with all this beautiful story, everything they knew about, it's like maybe they just are a really good story writer.
Right.
And I actually show people, if you really have something you want, how to kind of call in. I mean, it's kind of advanced word, but I dipped my toes in that just a little bit.
Yeah.
So.
I don't think I have a haunted doll. I've got enough stuff in my apartment that's God is haunted.
Right. You don't need any more. I know my second one is taking on its form in her, but your house is only so big, right? And they do have to get along. So, well, I cannot thank you enough for coming and bringing your magic, you guys. Everybody check her out, like her, follow her, check everything out. She's one of the wise ones. She's one of the good ones. So magic is everywhere. Thank you.